The Gaza Strip is facing a catastrophic humanitarian crisis. Years of conflict and a crippling blockade have left its population in dire straits. Basic necessities like food, water, and medicine are in critically short supply. The recent escalation in violence has only exacerbated these existing vulnerabilities, pushing Gaza to the brink of collapse. International organizations are struggling to deliver aid, hampered by the ongoing hostilities and restrictions on movement. The situation demands urgent attention to alleviate the suffering of innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. The people of Gaza are facing immense hardship. Many have lost their homes and livelihoods. Families are struggling to provide for their children. The psychological toll of living under constant threat is immeasurable. Despite the challenges, the spirit of resilience persists, with communities coming together to support one another. However, the situation remains precarious, and the need for humanitarian assistance cannot be overstated. The international community must step up its efforts to provide relief and work towards a lasting solution. The impact of the ongoing crisis extends beyond immediate needs. The destruction of infrastructure, including hospitals, schools, and power grids, has long-term consequences for the development and well-being of the Palestinian population. The cycle of violence and destruction hinders any progress towards rebuilding and recovery. The international community must prioritize not only immediate aid, but also long-term investment in infrastructure and development projects that can help Gaza recover and rebuild. Addressing the root causes of the conflict, including the occupation and the blockade, is crucial for achieving a sustainable solution. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is a stark reminder of the human cost of this protracted conflict. It is a call for action for all parties involved and the international community to prioritize peace, justice, and the well-being of all people. The people of Gaza deserve to live in dignity, security, and hope. The recent escalation in conflict has cast a long shadow over daily life in Gaza, particularly during the holy month of Ramadan and the Eid al-Fitr celebrations. The festive spirit that usually marks this special time has been replaced by fear, uncertainty, and grief. Families who would normally gather to break their fasts and exchange Eid greetings are instead mourning loved ones lost in the violence or living in constant fear of the next airstrike. The streets of Gaza, usually bustling with life during Ramadan, are eerily quiet, with shops closed and people afraid to leave their homes. The sounds of children playing have been replaced by the deafening roar of fighter jets and the terrifying booms of explosions. The nights offer no respite, as families huddle together in fear, the darkness punctuated by the flashes of bombs and the wail of ambulance sirens. The psychological impact of living under such conditions, especially on children, is profound. The constant threat of violence has created a generation haunted by trauma, their childhood stolen by a conflict they did not choose. The mental health needs of the population are immense, yet the resources to address them are woefully inadequate. Despite the hardships, the people of Gaza continue to display remarkable resilience. Neighbors help neighbors, sharing what little food and resources they have. Community centers have been transformed into makeshift shelters, providing refuge for those who have lost their homes. The spirit of community and solidarity shines through even in the darkest of times, a testament to the strength and determination of the human spirit. Amidst the ongoing violence and suffering, efforts to secure a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel are underway, mediated by Egypt, Qatar, and other international actors. The negotiations are fraught with challenges, as both sides remain entrenched in their positions. Hamas demands an end to the Israeli blockade on Gaza and the release of Palestinian prisoners, while Israel insists on the return of its captured citizens and guarantees that Hamas will disarm. The ceasefire talks offer a glimmer of hope for a much-needed respite from the violence. However, previous ceasefires have been short-lived, often collapsing within days or weeks. The underlying issues fueling the conflict remain unresolved, making a lasting peace elusive. The international community must exert sustained pressure on both sides to engage in good-faith negotiations and work towards a sustainable solution that addresses the root causes of the conflict. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza cannot be resolved without addressing the underlying political issues. The blockade, which has crippled Gaza's economy and deprived its people of basic necessities, must be lifted. A just and lasting solution must include an end to the occupation and a recognition of the Palestinian people's right to self-determination. The international community has a moral obligation to act decisively to end the suffering in Gaza. This includes holding all parties accountable for their actions, providing humanitarian assistance, and working towards a just and lasting peace that ensures the security and well-being of both Israelis and Palestinians. The healthcare system in Gaza, already strained before the recent escalation, is now on the verge of collapse. Hospitals are overwhelmed with casualties, many of them women and children. Medical supplies, equipment, and essential medicines are in critically short supply due to the ongoing blockade and the destruction of healthcare facilities. The shortage of qualified medical personnel further exacerbates the crisis. The constant threat of airstrikes has made it extremely dangerous for medical workers to reach hospitals and for patients to seek treatment. Ambulances have been targeted, and hospitals have been damaged or destroyed, making it even more challenging to provide timely and adequate medical care. The situation has created a humanitarian catastrophe, with countless lives at risk due to the lack of access to essential healthcare services. The long-term consequences of the ongoing attacks on Gaza's healthcare system are dire. The physical and psychological trauma inflicted on healthcare workers and patients will have lasting effects. The destruction of infrastructure and the disruption of services will take years to rebuild, further hindering the development of a functioning healthcare system in Gaza. The international community must prioritize the protection of healthcare workers and facilities in conflict zones. Attacks on healthcare are a violation of international law and must be condemned in the strongest possible terms. Immediate action is needed to ensure the delivery of essential medical supplies and equipment to Gaza, and to provide support for the rebuilding of its devastated healthcare infrastructure. Section 5. A question of human rights. The ongoing conflict in Gaza has raised serious concerns about human rights violations. Reports of civilian casualties, including women and children, are deeply troubling. The indiscriminate firing of rockets into civilian areas and the targeting of residential buildings are unacceptable and constitute potential war crimes. The international community must conduct thorough and impartial investigations into these alleged violations and hold those responsible accountable. The detention of Palestinian civilians, including children, by Israeli forces without charge or trial, is another pressing human rights concern. These detentions, often carried out in the middle of the night, create fear and uncertainty within communities. Detainees are frequently denied access to legal representation and are subjected to harsh interrogation techniques. The practice of administrative detention, where individuals can be held indefinitely without trial, is particularly concerning. The blockade itself constitutes a form of collective punishment, as it restricts the movement of people and goods, severely impacting the lives of ordinary Palestinians. The blockade has been condemned by numerous human rights organizations as a violation of international law. The international community must exert pressure on Israel to lift the blockade and allow for the free flow of people and goods into and out of Gaza. The protection of human rights is paramount, especially in times of conflict. The international community must uphold its responsibility to ensure that all parties to the conflict adhere to international humanitarian law and human rights standards. Failure to do so will only perpetuate the cycle of violence and suffering. Section 6. Internal strife and dissent. While the conflict with Israel continues to dominate headlines, internal divisions within Palestinian society, particularly in Gaza, are also coming to the fore. Large-scale protests have erupted in recent weeks, with Gazans expressing their frustration with the Hamas government and its handling of the crisis. The protests, fueled by deteriorating living conditions, economic hardship, and a perceived lack of political freedoms, reflect a growing discontent with Hamas rule. The protests, unprecedented in their scale and intensity, are a sign of the deep frustration and anger felt by many Gazans. They are demanding better living conditions, an end to the economic crisis, and greater political representation. The Hamas government, facing growing internal pressure, has responded with a mix of concessions and crackdowns, seeking to quell the unrest while also maintaining its grip on power. The internal divisions within Palestinian society pose a significant challenge to any future peace process. A unified Palestinian front is essential for effective negotiations with Israel, and for the establishment of a viable Palestinian state. The international community must encourage dialogue and reconciliation among Palestinian factions, supporting efforts to rebuild trust and foster a shared vision for the future. The internal situation in Gaza is complex and fluid. The protests reflect a deep-seated desire for change and a better future. Addressing the legitimate grievances of the Palestinian people, including those living under Hamas rule, is crucial for achieving a lasting and just peace in the region. Section 7. Regional Implications and Concerns. The conflict in Gaza has far-reaching regional implications, escalating tensions between Israel and its neighbors. The recent Israeli airstrikes in Beirut, targeting alleged Hezbollah facilities, have raised concerns about a wider conflagration. Hezbollah, a powerful Iran-backed Shiite militia in Lebanon, has vowed to retaliate, further raising the stakes. The involvement of regional actors, including Iran, in the conflict adds another layer of complexity. Iran's support for Hamas and Hezbollah, both considered terrorist organizations by Israel and the United States, has been a source of tension for years. The potential for miscalculation and escalation is high, with the risk of a regional conflict looming large. The international community must work to prevent a wider war. This includes engaging with all parties to the conflict, including Iran, to de-escalate tensions and promote dialogue. The focus should be on finding a political solution to the conflict, addressing the underlying issues that have fueled decades of violence. The conflict in Gaza is not just a local issue, it is a regional and international crisis. The interconnectedness of the region means that instability in one area can quickly spread, with potentially devastating consequences. The international community must recognize the gravity of the situation and work collectively to prevent a wider war. Section 8. The exhausted population. The people of Gaza, subjected to years of conflict, blockade, and economic hardship, are exhausted. They are tired of war, tired of living in fear, and tired of broken promises. They long for a normal life, where they can raise their children in peace, pursue their aspirations, and live with dignity. Their resilience, tested time and again, should not be mistaken for acceptance of the status quo. The international community must listen to the voices of ordinary Palestinians who yearn for a better future. Their demands are simple: an end to the violence, an end to the blockade, and a just and lasting peace. The world cannot continue to turn a blind eye to their plight. The time for action is now. The human cost of this conflict is immeasurable. Generations of Palestinians have known nothing but war and hardship. Their dreams have been shattered, their hopes dashed. The international community has a moral obligation to act, to break the cycle of violence and give the people of Gaza a chance for a better future. The situation in Gaza is a stain on the conscience of the world. The international community must act with urgency and determination to end the suffering and bring about a just and lasting peace. The people of Gaza deserve nothing less. Section 9. Hope amidst the ruins. Despite the devastation, the despair, and the seemingly insurmountable challenges, the human spirit endures in Gaza. Amidst the ruins, there are still glimmers of hope. Teachers continue to educate their students, doctors and nurses work tirelessly to save lives, and families strive to create a sense of normalcy for their children. The resilience of the human spirit, even in the darkest of times, is a testament to the enduring hope for a better future. The international community must not allow this hope to be extinguished. It is time for bold and decisive action to address the root causes of the conflict, to lift the blockade, and to create the conditions for a just and lasting peace. The people of Gaza have suffered for far too long. They deserve a future filled with hope, not despair. The path to peace will be long and arduous, but it is a journey that must be taken. The international community must work together with Israelis and Palestinians to build a future where all people can live in peace, security, and dignity. The alternative is too horrific to contemplate. The situation in Gaza is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the urgent need for peace. It is a call to action for all of us to work towards a world where such suffering is a thing of the past. Let us choose hope over despair, peace over conflict, and justice over oppression. The future of Gaza, and indeed the future of humanity, depends on it.